Adding or subtracting fractions. Now, before we can add or subtract fractions, we must make sure that the bottoms of both of our fractions are the same. Why do we need to do that? Well, this number, this part of the fraction, is telling us what size it is. So if we don't add things that are of the same size together, it's very, very difficult to get a sensible answer. So let's look at how we're going to decide what the bottom should be, because we can't turn 4 into 5 or 5 into 4. So what we're looking for, preferably, is the lowest common multiple of the numbers 4 and 5. Now, if we multiply 4 by 5, we get 20, and in this case, that is the lowest common multiple. But we'll see in another example that sometimes there can be a lower possibility. So we're going to change this sum so that both of them have 20 on the bottom. So we're going to use the basic rule in fractions that what you do to the bottom you must do to the top. So 4 times 5 equals 20. So I need to do 1 times 5, which is 5. And then for the second one, 5 times 4 is 20. So I need to do 3 times 4 to go on the top. And at this point, it's very straightforward. We simply add the top. So 5 and 12 is 17. And the bottom stays the same. We do not add them together. So remember, this is just telling us the name and the size of the fraction. It's only the top parts that tell us how many parts we have. So just to show that it makes no difference whether you're adding or subtracting, apart from obviously at that last step. Now we're looking at this example here of 4/5 take away 3/10. So remember, we're looking for that lowest common multiple of 5 and 10. So I could do 5 times 10, which would give me 50. However, hopefully you'll also notice that I can turn 5 into 10. So I'm actually only going to change this fraction and leave this one alone. So they're both going to be tenths when we finish. And this second one is simply not going to change at all. So 5 times what makes 10? 2. So we need to do 4 times 2, which is 8. And then very simply, we do 8 take away 3, which gives us 5 tenths. And if we simplify that, we find that our answer is actually a half. Okay, so one more example here. So notice here, we've got an example where we've got mixed numbers. So before we start tackling this, we need to turn them into improper fractions. So the first one here, we've got 3/8 are 24, plus 3 is 27. So we have 27/8. Take away, so we've got 1.5 here. So 1 times 2 is 2, plus the 1 is 3. So we have 3/2. Okay, now let's look at this. Notice that we've got a 2 and an 8 on the bottom. So I can turn the 2 into 8 nicely. So I'm only going to change this sum, this part of the sum. So we're going to leave the 27/8 exactly as it is. I'm going to transform the 3/2 into something over 8. So 2 times what makes 8? 4. So I need to do 3 times 4, which is 12. Now we take away the top. So 27 take away 12. It's going to leave me with 15 all over 8. And then our final step is to turn this back into a mixed number. So 8 into 15 goes once, with 7 left over, and that 7 is 7/8. So that's how you add or subtract fractions. They must have the same bottom before you can do the adding or subtracting.